It wasn't my intention to make this video 15 minutes long, but this Mac Mini turned into a little bit more of an ordeal than I initially anticipated, so I'm putting this at the very beginning as just a short overview of what's going on and, well, the computer itself. So this is a base late 2014 Mac Mini, and it has issues, but I think most of it has to do with the original hard drive in this thing being so old and on its way out. The only other issue I have on this thing is the boot chime will randomly just stop chiming whenever I boot the laptop, whenever I boot it up. So let's see what will happen when I actually turn it on. And at least the boot chime's working right now. But the major issue is, again, the hard drive. The hard drive is so old, it's basically on the way out. So doing anything with this Mac is incredibly slow and painful. Luckily though, the people that I got this thing from gave me an actual original Apple keyboard, but this Apple keyboard also had this weird little issues. This thing will not register properly under macOS. And whenever I try to register this thing under macOS, it registers itself as a Japanese keyboard for some weird reason. So I'm going to have to be getting a new replacement Apple keyboard down the road that's not glitching out like this one. But other than that, this keyboard fully functions as an actual keyboard because it is a legitimate Apple keyboard. It's just that this one's flicking out for some weird reason. So I am going to be in the end though, I am going to be using this Logitech keyboard right here. And I had the little dongle in the back right there. I have this little antenna attached to it. That way, so when it's actually behind my TV, whenever I get a new replacement hard drive and whatnot, it can actually still get a reception from behind my TV. So, yeah. Basically, that's pretty much it. This thing is, again, from late 2015. The hard drive's going bad. The keyboard the thing came with it is flaky, is a little flaky, but works nonetheless. And the hard drive needs to be replaced significantly. So part one is me just unboxing it and just generally going over the thing, figuring out what's wrong with it and whatnot. And then part two will be me taking the thing apart, reapplying thermal paste, and getting my new hard drive into this Mac Mini. So with that said, I'll just end this part here, and someone else, if you guys want to finish watching the video, be my guest. I don't know why most people even watch a video for 15 minutes long, but there are those people that like these type of videos. Sorry about the annoying cricket in the background. I am constantly trying to go out there and find it and kill it. This one is unfortunately hidden really good, so it's hard to find it. With that said, I'm currently making the installation media for the Mac Mini when it finally comes in today. So I'm just using a USB-C thumb drive. It luckily comes with one of those little converter adapters, so I can plug it into the back of the Mac Mini. But with that said, I'll come back when my Mac Mini comes in and we'll see what it actually looks like and see if it actually runs and whatnot. It should run relatively fine, and from what the listing says. Well, this is a pretty big box for a Mac Mini. There should be a few other things in here, but I can't remember what it is. But this is what my Mac Mini came in. I also have my cat of expecting. She is currently expecting her eyelids over the bed because she's about to fall asleep. So with that said, I gotta find a little tool that lets me connect my camera to the tripod here. Oh, there it is. So let me get the camera set up to the tripod and come back. Alright, so I'm recording this on my bed. I've stated this before in past videos, and I'll state it again here. My YouTube channel is not professional by any stretch of the imagination. I just want to record a video and have it up on my YouTube channel. Mostly again because this is stuff that interests me. Now I do already have an Apple product, which is a I believe an early 2015 Retina MacBook, which has a glorious butterfly keyboard that likes to fail on us a lot. Luckily, mine hasn't failed on me yet, but that's because my mother took fairly good care of the thing. She barely used it. But now this will be my first actual Mac desktop I've ever owned. Okay, so we got this that does not need to be seen, so it was the person we bought this from was an e-waste seller. Or e-waste refurbisher, or whatever you want to call it. So instead of this Mac Mini being put into the ground, it gets resold to someone like me on eBay. So let's see, what do we get? The Mac Mini itself, which is in fairly good condition. I'm going to clean it off, obviously, but generally speaking, this Mac Mini seems to be in pretty good shape. An Apple keyboard that needs to be retro-brighted, but at least I have an Apple keyboard. That way, so I can get into the BIOS of this thing and boot into Windows and whatnot. So that's going to be useful down the road. Let's see what else. A HDMI cable. The people I bought my Mac from. And another HDMI cable and a power cable. I got two HDMIs? Or is that a display? Nope, that's an HDMI. I got two HDMIs. The one annoying aspect is I don't have a mouse for this thing, or it didn't come with a mouse, but that's fine. I got multiple mice around the house to work with. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean it up and hook it up to the monitor I'm going to use to test this thing with and come back. I don't know how well you can see it or not, but there's a nice little dust bunny right in the back of the card slot. Now I'm going to do a little research before I actually try and clean that, because that might be there because of Apple stuff. But generally speaking, all the ports look fairly fine. They're definitely used, which is to be expected. But generally speaking, this Mac looks to be in fairly good condition. When it comes to the front, there's really nothing I can do about it. I tried cleaning it myself, but the front's a little pitted, but then again, that is to be expected. As long as this thing actually functions as it should, I'm good to go. Alright, got everything plugged up. Keyboard, mouse. Let's power the thing on and see what it does. Go figure out which. Alright, it chimes. And the monitor lights up. And it looks like it seems to be booting right into Mac OS. Now obviously I'm not going to record this because I don't know if it's just going to boot into a desktop right out of the gate or what. So I'll just let it sit and I'll come back when it's necessary. Looks like they did a complete total system restore, which is exactly what they should do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the thumb drive I got set up last night or earlier today, and I'm going to do a complete system restore with that way, so I know I'm starting completely fresh. So I'm going to figure out how exactly I need to do that. I believe I remember how to. Alright, and I remembered how to do it. You just press and hold Option as the thing boots, and it gives you the option for the main hard drive or the bootable thumb drive like I have right here. And as you can tell, now I'm at the area where I need to do a total system restore. So if I remember correctly, I need to go in Disk Utility, wipe the drive, and then tell it to install to the new drive and whatnot. It's been a while since I've done this, but I know fairly how to do it. Alright, and now I'm reinstalling Mac OS. As far as I know, this thing's using the original hard drive. I'm going to see if I can find that out later on when I pop this thing apart for cleaning, because at the very least I'm going to be reapplying the thermal paste, because as far as I know, this thing has never been opened. So the thermal paste on that poor little i5 is most definitely dead. So that said, I'm not going to touch this thing until Mac OS is done installing, so I'll come back when I see fit. I'm slowly getting the Mac all set up, and one thing I definitely note is that it's pretty freaking slow. So most likely the hard drive in this thing is going bad, which means it'll eventually need to be replaced. So that's going to be another purchase down the road. But so far everything seems to be working just fine. The one thing I need to do now is restart this thing and see if the boot chime plays and whatnot. Alright, let's turn it on and see if the boot chime plays. I get no boot chime. So I need to reset the PRAM and whatnot, so I'm going to go and do that right now. Alright, it should now chime. Yay, I got the chime back. Kind of annoying I had to reset the PRAM when I went to wipe the drive on this thing, but whatever. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut this thing down again, and I'm going to pop it apart to do general cleaning, see what's inside the SD card reader is dust or whatnot. If it needs to be cleaned out, clean that out. Also take a look at the hard drive, see if it's the original hard drive, and also reapply thermal paste because I'm pretty certain that the poor little i5 is cooking under here and whatnot. So I'm going to come back when I pop the sucker apart. I thought I had the proper screwdriver kit, but I do not, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to order a set off of Amazon, and then I'll be able to pop this thing apart. So for right now, I guess the next best step for me to do is put Windows on this thing and see how it handles Windows. Alright, so this thing is incredibly slow. It's either one of two things. The hard drive is bad, or the little i5 is overheating, which could be killing the actual performance of the computer. So I got Windows 10 finally installed, so now I'm going to download CoreTemp and figure out what this thing is actually doing so I can properly fix the issue. If it's overheating, I just reapply thermal paste. But if it's staying fairly cool, then I'll still reapply the thermal paste, and then I'll also get myself a new hard drive. But for right now, I need to get this thing actually connected to the internet and whatnot, so I'll come back when all that is done. Alright, so here's what the boost clocks are like right now. The hard drive is basically nearly pegged at 100 for the most part, and I am installing something, but the actual clock seems to be fairly fine. So my ongoing theory has to do with the hard drive. The hard drive that's in this thing is most likely going bad. So that's the easiest thing I can replace. Obviously though, the RAM is also another issue, but there's unfortunately nothing I can do about that. Most likely what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up putting Windows 7 on this computer for the time being, because I know if I'm using a hard drive, especially in a spinning mechanical like this one, is going bad. If I put Windows 7 on this Mac, then I know I'll have a more stable operation and whatnot. I'll have to watch Hulu and whatnot through Chrome, but since this is a MacBook, it should do the job just fine. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart this sucker in Mac, and I'm going to blow it away and reinstall Windows 7. Luckily, tricking Boot Camp into working with a Windows 7 ISO instead of a Windows 10 ISO is fairly easy to do. With that said, it's taking an incredibly long time for it to copy the files from the actual computer to the thumb drive right here. It is copying the data, as you can tell it is flashing, but it's very slow. And that basically goes to show that the hard drive in this thing is in fact dead. Now of course when I do pop this thing apart to replace it, I will be reapplying the thermal paste to also knock that issue out of the water, because even though it doesn't seem like the i5 is overheating, I still want to reapply thermal paste nonetheless. So the hard drive I'm actually getting is a Western Digital performance drive that spins at 7200 RPM compared to the 5200 RPM of the current drive. So even though it's a spinning Rust drive, it's going to be significantly faster, and also it's going to be a brand new drive. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the process of installing Windows 7 on this thing off camera, get all that set up, get Windows 7 all up to date, and then come back for the final thoughts, and then I'll have to wait for the screwdriver kit and the hard drive to come in, and then do a whole thing on that also. I think I might just make this a two-part because this video's already gone on long enough. Granted, I have no idea how long it is, but I'm pretty certain it's easily 10 minutes. I really don't want to have a 20-minute video on something like this, especially considering this thing's so stinking old. Well, it didn't partition itself like I initially thought it would. Luckily, all I do is just yeet and yeet. Next. And as you can tell, it's taking a little while. And we're off to the races with Windows 7. Alright. Alright, now I'm going to end the first part of this video and say hopefully by Wednesday I will have the hard drive in, and I'll be able to start the second video where I'm actually replacing the old hard drive, reapplying new thermal paste, reinstalling macOS, and then hopefully reinstalling Windows 10, and the actual experience being a lot more quicker. Also, another thing to note is that when it comes to this keyboard, for some reason or another, this thing registers as a Japanese keyboard. So this keyboard needs to be yeeted, unfortunately. It is an actual Mac keyboard or Apple keyboard, but this one's flaky, so I'm not going to use it as my actual daily driver keyboard. But I do plan on getting a replacement because I do need a wired keyboard. That way so I can reset the PRAM and whatnot, because sometimes I lose the chime in this thing. I don't know why. Sometimes just unplugging it will resolve the issue, but I'm really hoping getting a new hard drive will resolve the loss of the chime issue. So for right now, I have my actual keyboard hooked up to this thing that I'm going to be using. Give me a second to find it. Which is this basic Logitech all-in-one keyboard. The reason why I have the antenna out like this is that way so when it's behind my TV right here, it actually gets a full reception through the TV and whatnot. So with that said, let's see if I can get this thing to boot up and it still gives the chime. Yay, it still chimes. And it seems to be booting up completely fine. So when it came to Windows 7, I couldn't get it to work. By the way, I completely forgot why I was originally going to record this part, but I can't get Windows 7 to work right now. Maybe down the road I'll figure it out, but for right now, when I get the new hard drive inside this thing, I'm going to be putting Windows 10 on it. I'll eventually try and figure out a way to get Windows 7 on it, but for right now it's going to be running macOS and Windows 10. So with that said, I guess part 2 will be something out later this week, I think.